Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7, and we're back with another race at this week's Daily Race C, but this time we're in a different car. We've migrated over to the Citroen, which is a car that we've been calling one of the best cars in Group 4 for quite a long time. It's got really good tyre wear, it's got really good handling. The only downside is it's not got the best top end, but it's not a terrible car either top end, so it's a pretty solid car for a lot of different combinations, and this race really makes sense, especially when going from the back of the grid. You can see this lobby is pretty stacked. We've got Damien in the lobby, we've got Ari in the lobby, we've got Nico right behind me, a World Tour driver right behind us on the grid there, and we've got some fast drivers at the front as well who have been in top split lobbies in GT World Series. So this is going to be an interesting race going from the back with the Citroen. We've been using it for a few days. This was our first race on the live stream, so yeah, if you do enjoy this video, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel. It all helps me out with the algorithm. So starting the race, you can see there, we've got the Alpha in front of us. He's going to get incredible acceleration. We know that car's really quick on the initial acceleration. Citroen isn't too shabby either, pretty strong on acceleration, but he's going to be able to go for a move on that Spanish driver and get past the Supra straight away into turn one. So we're going to try and get a good run off the first corner, and we've managed to get quite a nice run actually on the Supra. We're going to go to the left hand side and see if we can get past him. However, we're not going to have the slipstream to the left. No one's really gone for a move, and that means the Supra is going to get slipped. But Nico's going to give us a nice little bump there, which just about gives us enough speed to go for that move up the inside, make it cleanly, and put ourselves up into P11. So one thing you want to do is when you're going from the back of the grid, especially in this strategy that we're doing here with the Citroen, we're going for a no tyre change because this Citroen is really good on tyre wear, is try and get a nice good first lap in. You want to keep that gap to the leaders as short as possible basically, so that when you do your no tyre change, you're going to gain as much time as possible and get as close to them as possible, and then you can try and run some good laps in the clean air and see if you can get an undercut on them. So you can see at the moment the gap is around 4.7, 4.8. We're going to lose a little bit as we go through this section, obviously with the traffic, so it's probably going to go a little bit higher. Had a little bit of a moment on the rear there as well, that's going to lose us a little bit more. And now into the final corner, just braking nice and sensibly. We're not going to take any risk because, like I say, you don't want to lose a big chunk of time. So into the final corner, now onto the main straight, and now we're going to go into that pit. So you can see the gap at the moment is 4.8, just under 5 seconds. So that's what we've got to make up. Now pit stop loss is about 2.5 to 3 seconds, about 2.5 I think shorter if you don't change tyres. So we're going into the pits now. One thing to pay a note is we were 2.1 seconds behind P12 as we went into the pits. Now he's in the McLaren, we're in the Citroen. Now one thing to note is the Citroen is better in first gear acceleration than the McLaren, so when we come out the pits, 1.7 seconds behind him. So gained about 4 tenths there just because of the acceleration out of the pit exit box with the Citroen versus the McLaren, because the McLaren is good on top end but it's not the best accelerating car. So yeah, 4 tenths gain purely because this car is a little bit better acceleration, so, and also the gearing probably helped through that pit exit when auto drive is on. So now by the end of lap 2, we've got right into the slipstream there. You can see they're 3/4 of a second behind P12 and should be getting a bit of a slipstream now. You can see we're actually, even though we're in a slower car on the straight, we are actually slightly catching him up, but towards the end of the straight there you can see he's going to start matching it, because the McLaren top end, one of the better cars in Group 4, probably for a track like Monza for example. McLaren would be very, very strong on the end of the straight, but here you don't really get into that full momentum. You're pretty much not even getting into 7th gear. So you can see picking up that slip again into 6th gear, and we're going to just briefly press the pause button there just to fix the heavy wheel that happens when you come out the pits. For some reason it happens quite a lot with me, and as we do that we go a little bit onto the grass on the right hand side, get a bit of a drift but manage to save it and didn't really lose too much time. Nico's going to give us another little bump there because obviously he doesn't want to battle too much. Now that is one thing, when you're on this strategy you don't really want to be fighting with other cars. You want to try and just work your way through as quick as possible without losing time, so you can catch up the front runners and go for them podium positions. So right up behind P12 now, not really an overtaking place through here. You can see the Citroen much better on that acceleration out of these corners, and at the moment we're right behind but nowhere to really overtake again. You can see that initial acceleration on the Citroen is very, very strong. McLaren is really good on traction. McLaren is also pretty good on tyre wear, but not quite as good as a Citroen when it comes to them tyres. So into the final corner now, staying as close as we can, using 3rd gear, and we've got a nice run on the McLaren right in front of us. Can we go for a move? We should be able to go for a move. So what I do there is I briefly come out of the slipstream just so that I can tuck back in and pick up more of a slipstream when I get into 6th gear, because that's when it's going to help the Citroen the most. So Now into that slipstream, we're getting the most effect from it this range, and we're going to go down left hand side. He's not going to fight it, he's actually going to let us through there, and we're going to tuck up the inside, and so is Nico. Nico's going to throw it up the inside also there and take advantage, and now we're just going to keep on pushing. We've got a nice bit of clean air. We can see that Flash is just coming out of the pits. We've jumped him. It looks like he's had some sort of incident start, maybe a penalty, or maybe he's changed tyres there actually, because lap 4 he might have gone for a different strategy of just changing tyres at the end of lap 3. It can be done, and it still gives you better tyres towards the end obviously. So yeah, that is a strategy. Maybe that's what Flash did there, as we're now into P11. So skipping a little bit further ahead now onto the end of lap 4, and you can see Nico's got a nice run on me, and like I said before, there's no point really battling and fighting each other too much at this stage, because you want to try and get the undercuts over them people that haven't pitted yet. So we're going to let him through there, tuck up behind him and pick up the slipstream to Nico. So didn't lose too much time. I know that Nico's going to be a little bit quicker than us here, a couple of attempts a lap quicker, so it's better to let him lead the field, and then I can just get in that slipstream and follow behind. And if I can bump draft him every now and then, we'll do it, but we're not going to do it into that braking zone, because that would probably mean he'd get sent off into the barriers up ahead. So carry on following behind Nico here. We've got Ari behind us also now, one of the fastest drivers on the game. So we're literally in a sandwich of very fast drivers. We've got a well-taught driver in front of us and Ari right behind us, who is also a very, very quick driver. And we can see with that yellow flag, it looks like the Supra up ahead has had a little bit of an incident there, and he hasn't pitted yet. So we're going to get as close as we can as we watch that replay camera, just showing you just how close this racing is. We've got the Citroens, the McLarens, and this week has been really good actually. I have to call it out. It's been a really good week for not only the race and the strategy, different options you can do, but also the fact that there's more than one car available. The Supra is good, the Citroen's good, the Ferrari is usable, and the McLaren is pretty good as well. So many different choices of car. It's nice to have a race with more than one car all the way through the field. As you can see there now, with Nico getting a run off the final corner and picking up the slipstream to the Supra. The Supra is going to go off into the pits now though. He's going to go for his tyre change. The Supra is probably one of the worst cars out the tyre wear when it comes to the Citroen and the McLaren. So Citroen has to do a tyre change. So he's off, going for his tyre change, and now we're in that slipstream to Nico. So now we've just got to try and get a really solid turn 1 and exit of turn 2 to try and give us speed on the straight. You can see people coming out the pits there in front of us. It looks like some other drivers have gone for a no tyre change. So looking at that, we haven't really gained much on them. So my theory is some of these drivers in front might not have bothered to change tyres. And you can see there now, Ari is picking up slipstream. He's actually going to go for a move there. Wasn't expecting it, but I decided to give him the space. And then we're just going to tuck up underneath him, get that better exit. A nice little switcheroo there, up the inside and back into the position we're in. So back into P9. We don't really want to drop out of the slipstream to Nico, because we want to work our way forward and get through with him as he's going past cars. So now we're coming up to these two other cars in front of us. Now I think that P7 hasn't changed his tyres, because you can see we're actually closing in on him, and we're closing in quite fast. And normally if a car's changed his tyres on lap 5, they're going to be on fresh tyres and they're going to have a lot of pace. But it actually looks like this car in front of us hasn't changed tyres and is obviously going for that strategy of jumping a few positions without changing tyres. So it's similar strategy to what we've done, but we pitted very early on, and this is another reason why this race has been really interesting, because you could do all kinds of different strategies. You can change tyres between lap 3 to lap 6. You could not pit and not change tyres from lap 1 to lap 11. It just meant there was a lot of variables, sometimes a little bit of luck in the strategy that you pick versus other cars as well. That could come into play, but overall a very solid week of racing. It's been probably one of the better races in quite some time for strategy. So Nico's going to have a little look around the left hand side now of the Italian driver. There's no way past there. You can see he's definitely struggling with grip in that McLaren though. Looks like he's losing a lot of pace, and maybe a tyre change would have been a better option for him. But Nico again having a little look up the inside, tiny bit of contact there, but nothing too drastic. And now we're just being patient behind Nico, kind of waiting to see if he goes for a move, and if he does, we can try and just follow through and take that position also. So again, a little bit of contact on the inside. Nico's on the inside now, but now on the outside for the next corner, and that McLaren is going to take that position back. So we're going to try and sneak up the inside with Nico running a little bit wide there, and then into the final corner. Nico goes a little bit further on the outside, but still manages to get a pretty good exit from the corner. But you can now see what this battling is starting to do, and this is why you kind of want to work with each other for a bit, because you see now that we're battling, we were pulling away from the group with P8 behind Arian, but now they're starting to catch back up to us, because obviously we're fighting, we're trying to get past cars. And you can see again, Nico's going to have a little look to the right, then he's going to go back to the left and have a little look. We're going to stay to the right hand side and then just try and get a better exit off this corner. You can see a tiny bit of contact going on in front of us. We had a little bit of contact there as well from the rear, but nothing Gary could really do there. I think that's just a case of pinball physics on Gran Turismo. And now we're picking up that slipstream again. We're going to go to the left hand side of the track, pick up more draft, and then back over to the right. You can see there, Ari's also going to go to the right, so he's probably thinking the same as myself, just wait for a clean exit, as Nico goes for a bit of a fake, but it was a bit late, that fake. That means we can now go up the left hand side, and now we've got a run on Nico and also a run on P4. Can we manage to go right round the outside? So we're going to try and hang it here. We know our tyres will be in better condition than his, because it just looks like he's struggling massively with them tyres. Down to third gear for rotation. Braked a little bit too late here and didn't really get it rotated in. If I would have braked a fraction early, maybe could have held that inside for this next corner, but had to give it up and just get stuck back behind the McLaren. So now we're in the position that Nico was in, trying to find the way past this McLaren. So having a little look up the inside, got the inside line, giving him space on the outside, and he's managed to hold on to that. So now again, we're going to have to try and see if we can get him on the main straight. So into the final corner, having to defend a little bit, because we've got Nico on the right hand side, and down to second gear briefly to try and give ourselves a better exit. But you can see in the mirror also, this is just bringing a load more cars into this battle. It's getting extremely close in this race. It's actually getting quite heated here. You can see now as we pick that slipstream up, but you can see 3 tenths behind is a little bit too far to really go for a move into turn 1. So we're going to pick up that slipstream and then go a little bit defensive into the braking zone. You see Nico has a little look up the inside, but not much you can do there. Ari's going to try and go right round the outside, and you can see we've got 2 wide situations behind us, up into 4th gear for me. Now we've got a really nice run on P4. You can see this is actually looking pretty good to be able to go for a move into the next braking zone. So we're going to pick that slipstream up. Now keep an eye on this as we come into braking zone. We're going to go to the right to fake it, and then we're going to tuck back under, because we can see him going to the right, but then he changes direction right in the braking zone. And it's a move we see people doing so often, and it's so frustrating, I have to say. Once you make your decision which way you're going to go, you need to stick with that. You can't then change directions while braking. We'll show you a replay of that in a minute, but let's carry on watching the action as we're going to then try and go all the way around the outside again. Now this time, we're going to brake a little bit early. We learned from the previous one, brake a little bit early, use first gear for the rotation, managed to keep enough of my car on the left-hand side, and then we've got that move done, giving him space on the outside, and you can see everyone just swamps him then. Everyone completely swamps that car. He's struggling massively with tyres, and now we've managed to get through. So eventually, after quite a few laps of battling and a lot of loss of time, you can see we were doing 1 minute 37.8 on lap 6. Then we got caught in traffic, 1:39.1, so 1.3, 1.4 seconds lost of time. Then lap 8, nearly pretty much 2 seconds, over 2 seconds worth of lost time, 2.5 seconds lost of time on that lap. But let's have another watch of this. We're going to slow it down, so keep an eye on the car. We go to the right hand side. Now watch, we go to right, now watch his car. He goes to the right to react to us, and then as I go back left, he's braking, and he turns during the braking phase back over to the left. That really isn't allowed. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that, and it is super frustrating, because the fake that we're doing is completely allowed, but when you're the car in front, once you commit to a defensive move, you can't change your mind during the braking phase. It's really dodgy. So yeah, if you're ever in that situation, commit to your braking. Don't change direction in the braking. It's really advisable, and he ended up losing out more positions anyway through being a bit overly aggressive there. So now we're on 2 laps to go, and we've got to try and hold on to this position from Nico, a well-tour driver, and Ari, a very, very, very quick top split driver as well. So this is going to be very difficult now, as my tyres are not looking the greatest. Although what I will say is the slow laps that we did on laps 7, 8 and 9 probably have helped that front tyre wear a little bit in terms of surviving to the end. So now we're going to have to go a little bit defensive into the braking zone. Nico's on the right side, down to second gear, then back up to third gear to try and get a strong exit from that corner. And now we're going to come up to this really fast right hand corner. You can see Nico in the slipstream. He's not going to battle this one, I don't think you can see. He's actually not going to send it there, because he's trying to make sure that Ari can't go for a move also. So the advantage we've got here in defending from Nico is that we've got Ari behind as well, obviously putting Nico under pressure. So if Ari starts fighting with him, that will help me out, and that's what I was hoping, because my only real chance against these drivers, they're quicker than me, is to try and let them fight each other, and then we can pull away. And at the moment, we've got a nice gap there. You can see up to 4 attempts into the braking zone, onto the throttle as early as we can, and we've got that gap around 4 tenths still. So now we just got to try and keep a good exit off this final corner, because this is an overtaking opportunity. So down to third gear, get that left hand tyre up onto the curb, onto that throttle as early as we can, and we managed to get a pretty strong exit there, getting the gap up to ½ a second. And that means by the end of the straight we will not have to go defensive. But as we come through here, we can see in the mirror, this is a perfect situation for me. You can see they're both fighting each other, they're side by side, and that is a perfect scenario, because now they're going to fight, they're going to probably lose a bit of time, and that means I don't have to go defensive for the next braking zone. So again, we've got that gap back up to ½ a second. They're going to get a bit of slipstream, but I don't need to defend now. I can just concentrate on trying to keep the line smooth and just trying to drive pretty much as consistent as possible without having to defend. Defending loses your time, so they're still fighting behind us. This is perfect. We're up to P4. If we can hold on to a P4 from in this race from the back of the grid, it's a good result. So as we come to the final corner, we managed to keep that gap fairly stable. You can see just trying to make sure we get a reasonable exit. Didn't really nail that one. You can see Nico got a much better exit off that final corner, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, to be able to get us before the finishing line. You can see 3 tenths there. It's going to come down probably to about 2 tenths, 1 tenth, but we've managed to hold on, and we're going to take a pretty good P4 there from the back of the grid. A little bit of chaos in the middle where we obviously got caught behind that McLaren, but overall, really fun race. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and again, let me know in the comment section what you thought about the racing and also the double defending. It's something that's really frustrating at the moment. A lot of people are doing it, but hopefully we can try and get people to understand that you shouldn't be doing that. But thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll be back with more videos and live streams all over the Christmas period, so get subscribed.